Hello folks, I'm L.A. Little and this is your daily TA Wrap, where we take a look at these markets and we do it from a neoclassical perspective, asking ourselves each time, what happened today and what does it tell us about tomorrow? I do a show 4 times a week, Monday through Thursday, live at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, here from the base of the beautiful snowy Rocky Mountains. Folks, I'm glad you could join me again today. I'm doing the show one more time early. Have some family in, which is kind of throwing my schedule off a little bit. But still doing the show. It is about noon Colorado time, 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Market's down pretty heavy. We got the Dow down 2 1/4. The S&P's down 23.5. The composite's down almost 48, 47.5 as I type. 35, almost 36 lower on the NDX, and the Russell down 14. So you can see a pretty good spill taking place. Gold up 25 bucks. We've got a rush to safety. You can see it here. Gold, silver, bonds. They're all getting the money. Dollar down. All the equities down. Pretty much a clean slate sell-off, if you will. Let's take a look at what this means in terms of the markets, though, and what's it going to do to these markets. And I'm gonna narrow in here on the TA Today charts, and we're going to pop in and take a look at these guys together and see what we got. So let me pop over to the general markets and see how they're shaping up. So the S&Ps, I'm not going to have volume numbers. The volumes are a little bit heavier today than they have been, but the quotes are pretty accurate. We're actually a little bit lower right now. We're down here testing on this January 14th bar. That bar, actually, there's a retest regen zone down here. It still hasn't been tested. This market looks to be trying to push down there to test it this time around. If I lower this down to where it's actually accurate, you're going to see that little bar didn't quite get to it. So we've got a little bit of a gap there. We have a gap right in this area here, right, that it's trying to fill right in there. That's where it's trying to go to and fill the gap. I wouldn't be surprised if it pops into here, potentially pops into there, does a retest, regenerate, and then tries to come back out of it. We've talked about before that the risk of this market, 5 bars across the top here, unable to break out. The risk is that you come back down because you're left a nice wide price spread bar and a gap down there. There's certainly the risk that it can come back and test that. Now, what had been happening is that we had breakouts on the NDX, on the IXIC, and on the Russell. There's the index, the NDX, and it's coming back in to do a test of that support area. The broad composite, same thing, coming back in, and the Russell also doing the same thing, coming back in to that same area. So in all cases here, what we're seeing is extensions higher that took place with respect to these other indexes, right? These extensions higher now are getting pulled back in. They're going to test back into these support zones that have set up now, and we'll see how they handle that. What's most interesting about this, and potentially the setup that will take place out of this, is another ABCD structure potentially setting up inside, right? We had one here. We actually had one back here already. The Russell's a little bit different. And then you also had a range breakout as well, right? That one was up here. So you had multiple points pointing to higher price up in this area. You're getting a pullback today. If we did the same thing on the NASDAQ, you would actually see that the NASDAQ itself was setting, or potentially is setting up, another ABCD structure in this area. So we could be setting up another ABCD structure nested inside all these areas and giving us another pullback one more time into test prior to trying to push higher. So that's what's happening today as I record this early. We're getting pullbacks. It doesn't look to me like they're going to be able to recover, but then again, it seems like you can never count this market out. So, by the end of the day, in the next 2 hours, we may see them recover before it's over. If we look at the sectors, let's pop in here and see if the sectors are saying anything different. Right now, it's just a good old-fashioned sell-off after a long extended run again, and a divergent run where the S&P 500 and the Dow could not do the same as the OTC issues. Transports, a lot of volume up there, still hanging up there at the highs. Semiconductors, so the transports look pretty bullish still. Semiconductors, they had struggled. They had came off of a big move to the downside, popped back up, and now they're getting another pullback, it looks like today. Let's see if we can get the charts up here. Should have rebooted before I did this, I guess. Now maybe we're not going to get them. I'll tell you what, let's flip to here and use these so that we can see them. So this is a live feed, a live quote. You can see we're testing down here on the SPX as I comment. Semiconductors, let's see what they all look like. So semiconductors coming back, pretty decent volume coming back. Let's see here, XLB. So the semis could come back into the bottom of this bar. Let's see what the XLB looks like. And these should actually be doing, they're probably one of the few doing well. Actually not, selling off. So coming back into a big support zone, right? This is a retest regen. We haven't had retest regens on a lot of these. This is the retest regen area, and it's coming right back into it today. So after all this time spent up here, right, coming back after way more than 6 bars, right, to do a retest regen into this bar. So that's what the basic materials are doing. XLE. Now XLE has been weaker, and this potentially is another ABCD structure to the downside in a larger way on a weekly. But that one's just coming back into the big bar. XLE, let's see what the financials look like. They were selling off today, and they're coming back finally to do their retest regen. So already we're starting to see multiples coming back to do retest regens. Here's the financials coming in to do it. Volume on the breakout is here. So you can see that volume doesn't look like it's going to be as high today. So that probably is going to find some support. So that's 3 of them doing the same thing. All of them so far looking like they have less volume on the retest regenerate. Let's see XLI. It's got a long way to go just to get back to it. It's still playing with the Fed bar and the quad witching bar, and looks like it's going to break a swing point low. 2, 4. And actually, it never even created one up there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it did. So that's a break of a swing point low. Looks to me like that one to come back into this big bar from the Fed day 1218 bar. XLI. How about XLK? And on the XLK, we have just fill the gap. It's trying to fill the gap. XLP. Selling back down to the bottom of the range. XLU. That one's not doing too bad. That one's actually faring pretty well. XLV, finally getting some selling in the XLV. XLV has been the strongest. It's already finished up ABCD structures, actually stretched beyond them. Looks to me like you're going to come back down into this 56, low 56 area at least. And the XLY has been the weakest one lately. And that one is going to try to test the bottom of this bar, it appears. So we have a test coming back down into the bottom of the Fed bar. So the weaker ones are trying to get to the bottom of the Fed bar. The strongest ones are just trying to get back to the top of the Fed bar. The intermediate ones, the rest of them, which is the majority, are actually trying to come back and do retest regenerates off the prior highs. Right? This, of course, had already done that. Now it's coming back down trying to get to the bottom. It's one of the weaker ones. Bonds, they soar today. Bonds are big. Let's see what the bonds chart looks like, going right to that next resistance zone and finishing up an ABCD structure to the top side. If they do finish it, and if they do in fact come back, that would also be supportive for the market. There's that swing point high it's trying to get to. On a weekly, it's not going to have the volume as it gets there. Okay, so gold. Gold was up big today. Let's see what gold looks like. Gold breaking back up, also trying to get to swing point highs. Gold should have trouble, unless we really get a flight to safety. Gold should have trouble in this area, and it's almost there. That should be the difficult spot. Right into that zone, that's where it's coming to now. I would think gold is going to find some problems in this area. The volume today is not going to be as heavy as that bar as it's trying to get into. Tomorrow's Friday. Gold loves to play on Friday, so we'll see if it does anything different tomorrow. Let's see what silver looks like right quick. Not nearly as strong, so gold is outperforming silver. And okay, so given all of that, let's go back to the indexes here. Actually, let's look at the SPY so we can get some volume tells. So we don't have the volumes coming back yet. SPY is back into the quad witching bar. It's testing into it, trying to. Bottom here, 181.95. It's right there. The top of the quad witching is 181.99. This is where it's going to try to hold. If it breaks through here, it's going to fill that gap and try to get to the bottom of this bar and actually get back into the retest regen zone. So SPY volume's not that big. Q's not that big either. Let me see what the IWM volume looks like. Also not that large. So this looks like a normal run-of-the-mill pullback into the bottom of the range. And it's going to be key that it finds support down here. Typically it does. It needs to do it again. If it does, then this would simply be a pullback inside the range and nothing more. But then again, there's always the risk that it goes something more. Right now, it doesn't seem to have the characteristics it needs. Of course, the volume matters when you test something. And right now, we're not testing anything of significance. If we look at that SPX one more time, the only thing significant here is the gap area that it's trying to test into. The real test of significance would be back here at the top of the Fed bar into that retest regen zone. That would be the big test. So, given that, we got a couple more hours, so it's way too early to call anything today. Usually that's why we do shows after hours, because at that point we have the ending numbers and we can see what's happening. But if I had to make a call so far, I can't see this market lifting much today. It's probably going to drift on down. Maybe it's going to find support and get a little bounce out of here. But tomorrow we should get some more tests in the morning, I would think. And especially if we close down in this area, I would think that we probe some more. But unless the volumes really pick up tomorrow, it's going to be hard to see this thing break down in terms of, get an extended move to the downside. But instead, potentially just test the bottom of the range, maybe get the retest regen zone, and then try to pop higher one more time. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. For those of you that I interrupted last night's show, I guess you got a freebie today with me live. I will, of course, for members, I'll stay in tune tomorrow. We'll see what's happening and make our choices and any kind of changes that we need to make, if any, or add to positions, which I expect would be the case. Have a great one. Thanks again, everybody. Take care of yourself. And sorry for having to do the show early. We'll be back on schedule starting next week. Take care. Good night, folks.